The Morning Show with Zaina.
It is the morning show, and as always, we are rolling out some supremely interesting interviews, courtesy of CLES, and doing this amazing competition that we've been rolling through. I have Sammy Joe with me in the studio today. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Zaina. How are you?
I'm very good. Really excited to have you to talk a little bit more about So I have questions on school anxiety. And I thought, I don't know if I know what this is about. And when you briefly explained it, I thought everyone feels this because I felt it, but apparently not. So let's talk a little bit about what school anxiety is in particular.
Yes, so Zaina, school anxiety is a condition that can affect students of all ages. So it manifests as an excessive fear of school and the activities that is associated with it. So such as making friends, speaking in public, or maybe answering to a question in class.
Wow.
Yes.
So that's not everybody.
Mainly not everybody.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, so some of the symptoms, just so I can understand it a little bit better, because this is all like ticking off so many check marks on what I went through, and I think this is why it's so important to understand it better, identify it better, and then because it can be treated, I'm assuming. Okay, so what are some of the symptoms then?
Yes, so the symptoms of school anxiety, we can divide them into physical, emotional, and behavioral. So when we have the physical symptoms, they may include headaches, dizziness, rapid heartbeat, sometimes a shortness in breath.
Wow.
So sweating. Yes, exactly. The emotional symptoms include fearfulness, sometimes worry, sometimes irritability, sadness, and the behavioral symptoms, so we can see that children are refusing to go to school as it, or maybe missing school frequently, or having temper tantrums, maybe sometimes freezing, panicking when they're asked a question
of course
of their classmate. And what's the most important is the struggle they have with the schoolwork, because anxiety is can sometimes come with learning disorders,
of course, and that's kind of crippling as well.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
And these symptoms you can see across both fields, whether that is at home or in school, so they can be across both planes.
Exactly. This is why parents and teachers are very important in assessing and diagnosing when we have this kind of
just being
anxiety.
aware of it, because that's the thing, just as I would look at it, it's you assume that most kids just don't like to go to school, they get nervous about it, it's just, you'd prefer to be at home over the weekend than having to study, and that's the thing, you kind of just chalk it down to that, you don't look further into it. Okay, so at which point do you believe you need to seek help, where it really becomes a problem?
Okay, so when do we have to seek help? It's especially if a child is missing school frequently, so he doesn't want to go to school, or sometimes he acts sick just to avoid going to school. So this is where the parents can have a very big impact, and they can help assessing this. So because school refusal can hurt the child's education and his social development.
For sure.
So it becomes more difficult to treat over time. So it is also important. To seek help from a mental health professional if the child anxiety is causing significant distress.
Because of course it's better to nip it at the bud. So the sooner you can identify it, the more and more quickly you can change maybe the outlook that we have of school before that becomes very deeply rooted. And
exactly, before it turns into depression or sometimes isolation. So we have to treat it really fast.
And then maybe social anxiety as well, not just school anxiety.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so it develops into that. Okay, so it's very important, of course, to see what it is that parents and teachers alike can do. Because so far, every interview I've had on and I've spoken about, it is just as important for teachers, I think, to be aware as it is for the parents. Because 50% of your time is spent at school, the other 50% at home. So coming together and understanding that on both halves is really important to have that knowledge.
Yes, it's true, Dana. And when it comes to parents, they may notice that their child is struggling, so they should talk with them about it. It may be that they will open up to the parent,
Right.
and together they can find a solution. So we must create a safer place to the child that he can express what he is feeling, and what's bothering him about going to school. So as well, so to develop routines to help the child better prepare for school every morning.
Gotcha.
It's very, very important. Look over their homework together. Maybe sometimes enjoy a breakfast as a family
Okay.
in the morning to help him.
Just unwind and calm
Yes.
down before having
Yes.
to go. So it's
Yes.
not the rush, even if it means waking up a half an hour earlier,
Yes.
but getting into a calmer routine rather than
Exactly.
just rush out the door, get your stuff and go.
Sometimes parents can come up with a mantra they can chant together when they're on their way home. So just to make the child feel better about what's going
Going to come. Okay,
Yeah.
and this, of course, all these tools, this is precisely the reason why seeking help or seeking a therapist helps gather these tools and these suggestions and working together, because maybe you can get to a deeper root on what works for this particular child versus the other. Maybe
Yes.
they have different needs. Maybe they have something to look forward to once they're done with school, and then excitement for the next day. So there's a number of ways that you can go about it, but the most important thing is identifying it and then seeking help for
Exactly.
it. Okay, and then on the teacher's front.
Yes, so the teachers and the educators are often situated in a very good place to recognize the sign of school anxiety in a child
Right.
before anyone else does. So they really have a power in it. They can help by simply being a safe place for the child to go to on days when they are really like struggling, and being empathetic and kind. So it can help form a connection. So they should let the child know that they care about the feelings, and they shouldn't force him to do something that he don't want to do in front of the others. So it's very,
Finding
very,
that
very
comfort
important.
level, of
Yes,
course, exactly.
yes.
So it's one of those situations where tough love does not work whatsoever.
exactly.
But you're giving a platform for a comfortable form of expression,
Yes.
because it's not easy. I think one of the biggest fears is public speaking as well. So to
Exactly.
put the kids in front of all of their peers when they're feeling this much anxiety is not a good way to go about it. You don't get over it that way.
Yes.
You need to work your way through towards it.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I think this was super well timed. Super beneficial, especially since kids are now back at school. So they're good tips to have, good things to look out for. I really appreciate you coming in and talking to me about it.
Thank you, Zena.
And now I understand myself better too. So thank you for
good.
that. All right, guys. Well, we're going to get back to the hits. Make sure to take this on board. Take it into account. Take it seriously. Don't have a short fuse when it comes to these things.